Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MyFootballWriter podcast. It's episode 3, so clearly we're not running out of ideas just yet. I'm Freddie Humphrey-Wakefield, and I'm joined by Will Grant, Henry Miller, and Jack Wright. So, boys, it's been a week since we last, of course, all sat down and spoke to each other virtually. So, just to start off, how's the week been for you? What have you been up to, and have you been getting more excited in terms of the NCFC world after the Johannes Hoff Thor-up presser a few days ago?
I mean, yeah, I'm great. I'm loving the Euros at the minute as well. So many really cool teams to be watching. Even especially Georgia, I think they were absolutely brilliant. Like the way they kind of approaching the games is superb. Getting more excited for the season as well. Trying to predict who we're going to get first day here and there as well. So we're getting there slowly but surely. But I'm getting much more ready for the new season for sure.
Yeah, I think with me, I'm on a Norwich City detox at the minute. There's just so much international football. I'm sort of focusing on that, and sort of Norwich is taking a back seat really. But sort of similar to what Will was saying, I'm really enjoying the Euros. Most of the games have been fantastic to watch as well, and really good spectacles. So yeah, really looking forward to that. It's just a shame now that there's no 2 p.m.ers anymore.
Oh, heartbreaking it.
I mean, being able to actually turn on the TV at 2 o'clock whilst you're working, kind of doing emails like, oh, yeah, cool. Oh, wait, Georgia have taken the lead. I missed that. I mean, Georgia, Turkey. Is that the game of the tournament so far? Come on, it's got to be.
Yeah, even last night, Belgium versus Romania was brilliant, I thought.
Yeah, no, that was a corker, wasn't it? No, that was good. And then, well, something instantly that came of that is the fact that Romelu Lukaku has now scored more goals that have been ruled out by VAR than any player has scored proper in the entire tournament. That's the thing. There's been no real runaway top goal scorer, has there?
No.
You know? Yeah, no.
What you were saying about Lukaku though and VAR, it's really weird because in the Slovakia game, I thought VAR did its job brilliantly. Even the handball decision for Lukaku's second goal, people were criticising that. But I think that's clearly the right decision because the defender probably gets it if he doesn't handball it. So I think that's the right decision. But yesterday, even with the automated offside, he's level to the naked eye. And obviously the rules of football state if you're level with the defender, you're onside. VAR is literally going against the rules of football. So decisions like that are shocking. Like, literally, he was probably an inch, if that, probably even less than that, offside. That is ridiculous how decisions like that are being given, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I take it you wouldn't want VAR in the Championship then?
I wouldn't, no. But also, it's one of those things. I think the Premier League have probably made the right decision to keep it, as long as they overhaul it, because had they have got rid of it, the first decision that's clearly wrong that happens, everybody would be calling for it again. So now that we've got it in English football in the Premier League, it's here to stay, and it's just about how they revamp it and how they work with it.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very, very fair point. I mean, I don't know what you, Jack and Will, think about that. Let's hear your thoughts on that. What do you think? Do you think that was the right decision for VAR to be kept, or are you just completely against it and you want it scrapped altogether?
I mean, yeah, I'm for it for sure, but I'm really shocked to kind of see that only Wolves actually voted against it. I mean, you would think Forest would have like at least done it because they were so vocal and adamant about it the whole season, but no, they think it's fine. So I think they come out of it a bit worse for wear, but yeah, I'm definitely to keep it in the Premier League. But I think Championship, I thought last year, which was so fun. So I'm happy to kind of keep it as it is, I think, for now.
I think if we keep it, I want my 3 points against Tottenham. I want that Pookie goal to be, allowed. Because is that not the most, the biggest robbery in VAR history? Everyone ignores that one in terms of all of the things that VAR have done wrong. From watching this Euros, it's obvious that VAR is not the problem. It's the way that VAR is actually operating during the game. These automated offsides where the decisions are being made within a matter of seconds, there's no dispute, there's no arguing. It's done quickly. There's no obscurity in the crowd. That's the problem with a lot of these VAR calls in the Prem, where they're taking 5 minutes to make a decision. It's this nonsense of clear and obvious as well, and what clear and obvious actually means. I think they need to go back to the book and have a look into the wording of it and the logic of it. But yeah, keep it, but make it better.
Yeah,
that's what I mean, though. You talk about automated offsides, like that Lukaku one. That was due to the automated offside. And to be fair, they got the decision really quickly. But I'd still argue that it's still incredibly harsh. So, I don't know. I don't think there's a right and wrong, really. It's difficult because VAR probably should be kept. But, yeah.
I think the offsides are fine for me. I think it's more the penalty calls, which I think are more... which needs more work done, I think. But I think offsides, although they could be harsh, I think they've done pretty well, to be fair. But obviously, they could be done better.
Yeah, no, we could probably we're saying the viewpoints of hundreds of thousands, probably millions, as we're talking about that there. But let's go back to Norwich City, because obviously that's our main focus. Of course, myself and Jack did a video about the press conference of Johannes Thorup and Ben Napper. But Henry and Will, of course, we'd love to know your thoughts on what was said, some of the comments that were made. So overall, what did you think of what was being said? Because really, me and Jack discussed it in the video. The excitement levels just continue to build. We're really looking forward to what's coming in the few weeks of pre-season when the season begins. But what did you think of what was being said by Thorup? Did it get you going, or was it really? Did you pass it off as any manager can say that when they start a new job?
To be fair, I thought it was.
You go, mate.
Sorry, I thought it was really positive. I thought you can clearly see that they're on the same page. We mentioned, I think it was last week, about the disconnect between Napper and David Wagner towards the end of last season. So the fact that they are pulling together, and they made a point of that in the press conference, I think is really positive. And there's not going to be any behind the scenes turmoil anymore, which could be good. And it looks like that from behind the scenes and from the outside looking in, everyone's pulling in the same direction, which is what happened with Webber and Daniel Farke. So I think ultimately it's only a good thing. And yeah, I am hyped just to see how it plays out, really.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Wouldn't say I'm at the level where I'm extremely excited. I just thought they both came across really well, really well educated, and I think very, very measured as well. I think the biggest thing I got from it actually was in terms of expectations for the new season. It kind of felt like they want to prioritise playing style more than actual results this season. And I don't know how you guys kind of thought about it, but maybe I was kind of expecting something a bit a bit more hard hitting about kind of where they expect us to finish this season, or the objectives for that. I felt that was quite vague, if you will. But yeah, I think they're very, very keen to assure us that playing style is going to be so important. And I actually think as well, the experienced players will actually find the interview quite rewarding as well. I think he said some good stuff about leadership, and I think that aligns into Duffy, Hanley, Barnes really well. So I think they'll probably feel a bit happy with how the interview was done. I think they've got a chance to really showcase their qualities in the new system as well. But yeah, I just my main takeaway was that I felt there was much more emphasis on play style. I wanted to get that right. So I think it might be quite hard to actually judge this season, was actual success when it hasn't. When I don't think they kind of stated what the main goal is for the season. Maybe I'm wrong, and I did kind of listen to it fully, but I didn't get out of that. Where do you want to kind of judge this season? It was all on kind of play style. I wanted to kind of get that right. And there's been some quite brief talks about a 2-year plan as well. In the 25-26 season, they want to try and really kick on. And yeah, I'm all for that. But I just think it might be quite hard to kind of judging this season really. Maybe are we going to go for a playoff push, or maybe is it going to be more of a Farke season, more of a 14th up and down? So yeah, I'm quite confused really on how they're kind of going to judge success this season. But I kind of asked you guys really, what did you kind of think of that? do you think I'm like being a bit wrong here, or do you think like there was more like emphasis put on kind of like playing style compared to like where like we're actually going to finish this year?
No, I think you're spot on, to be honest. I think they made that, Napper especially, made the point about David Wagner and praised David Wagner, but said that we needed to go in a different direction. So effectively, that's him criticising the play style, I'd say, because he praised his character and he praised, the results we picked up towards the end of last season. So they clearly knew that we needed a shift in play style. So I think the most important thing is that they establish an identity and the fans can buy into that. I don't think we'll finish in the bottom half of the table. I think we'll finish in the top half, but I do think we'll finish outside the playoffs. But I think for us and us fans, if we finish, say, 8th or 9th, but we can see, hold on, there is a clear plan here. There's a progression for the young players. I think us fans will accept that, to be honest.
Is that like success for you then? Like, would you kind of count like 6th attempt success as well as seeing a very like coherent style of play? Or do you, I mean, I want to kind of throw it to all of you in a way, like, what like kind of like position would you kind of like constitute as success this season? Because I think it's quite important to kind of like set some sort of like objective in terms of where like we should finish, because I feel obviously I know playing style is so important, but I feel like if we're playing good football but like we start off kind of finish 16th, like is that a good season? Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm just kind of interested to see like what do you like constitute as a kind of like successful season, like position and play style, etc.
Yeah, well, for me, really, I think anything successful would be an improvement on the previous year. And of course, that was 6th place, where it arguably should have been 5th place. But I think, of course, with it being a new manager, and I think, much like Henry said, I think the focus on play style is brilliant, because that is ultimately what they need in order to be successful. That's ultimately how the club, I would like to feel, and the management staff would measure their success. Because if you can implement a style and it works, of course, you're going to need to give it time. That's the big thing with this appointment, at least in my opinion. This is going to need a lot of time. That could be a whole season. That could be 10 games of a season for all we know. That there's absolutely no telling how long that is going to take and how well it's going to do. But I think in terms of league positions, for me, success is being in the top 6. I think that is where the club should be, based on where we've been for the last decade. That's ultimately where we've proven that we belong. So that's where we need to be. Of course, the big thing of Stuart Webber was being in the top 26 of the country. I think that is still, as much as I disagree with a lot of things the bloke had to say, that is the one thing that sticks in my head, that I really think that's ultimately where we should be looking to be over, well, especially this season, maybe even the next. But yeah, for me, success is getting in those playoff places, and then if you do poorly in them, so be it. That's just how it is. But we should be aiming for that, because if we can get that after just a dreadful half a season, we can definitely do it with a manager who clearly is on the same page as the bloke who appointed him.
And what I will say as well, sort of based on your previous point, Will, is there a different definition between a successful season and a good season? Say, for example, take Manchester United. If they qualify for the top 4 next season, that's probably a successful season, because I'm sure their outline for next season is to finish in the top 4. But how Manchester United have been over the course of the last 10 years, is that a good season? Probably not, because a good season would constitute them winning the Premier League.
Yeah, like I think for me is like my kind of question here actually was, although it was kind of, I just wanted to kind of, for example, I just wanted to kind of say, what would you constitute as like a good season for him to be in charge next year, if that makes sense? So, for example, I mean, Freddie said that a top 6 finish should be a thing we should aim for, which yes, I can agree to that. But I don't know if we'll get there, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just wanted to try and like kind of gauge your thoughts on what kind of position and like what do you actually want to see in like terms of play style for him to be here next year, for example?
Yeah, I mean, the Championship, for me, in the position that we are at the moment, I don't think there's a single place in the Championship where we could finish where we would be satisfied. You know, bottom half of the table. No, we don't want that. So we can chop the table in half. If you miss out on the playoffs, you know, you're miles off it. Unsuccessful. So we chop that. So now leaving the top 6. If, for example, you finish in the top 6 but don't get promoted, as we have just done, we're feeling like we are now, which is abject. If we finish higher than that in the top 2, we're then promoted and probably not ready like we were in 1920 under Weber, where we're then going in and thinking, oh, we probably should have had a season where we, you know, bedded in. So really, there's nowhere in the Championship where we can finish where it's ideal. Sorry for ruining everyone's dreams and everyone's season, but maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe, maybe finishing in the playoffs and losing again and rebuilding again. But is that not just a repetition of what's just happened? It's not an improvement. If we then finish 5th and don't get promoted and even lose the playoff final, that's even worse. There isn't. I can't think of a scenario where we can finish next season where we would at least be happy. Maybe that's just because we're unhappy as a fan base. But am I going completely bananas on this?
Yes. Because I mean, well, if we win the league, you could be delighted, aren't you? Well, I'd like to think you'd be delighted anyway, you know. But no, it's whatever. Obviously, that's the joy of opinion, and no one's meant to agree with everyone. Otherwise, we'd all be very boring. But you know, that's just football. But anyway, so we've already there you have it. There's our thoughts. So ultimately, yes, we're excited. But if we do poorly, in Jack's opinion, then we're all going to be very upset, and everything's going to be the end of the world, and we should all support Norwich, and we should go support Wroxham or something like that.
Now you've got to put your local, man. I'm a Wroxham boy, so any people that come is greatly appreciated. Boost the economy in Wroxham, so all for that.
All they've got is Roy's. You know, they need something else.
Jack. Oh,
to be fair though, Roy's Toys is elite. I get my Lego from there, so that is absolutely amazing shop.
Yeah.
Big up Wroxham. Big up Wroxham.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love the Broads, love them. But anyway, so of course we already sort of touched on the Euros, of course, but we haven't touched on, at least from where we're from, the home nations. So instantly we've already spoken about a Danish man. We should probably talk about how their team did against Gareth Southgate and how that was a bit of it was a disaster, wasn't it? That was really, really poor. But the thing of which, when we sort of plan these episodes, Jack writes up a whole agenda, and the point he put underneath was, why is Gareth Southgate so Norwich? So Jack, I'm just going to let you explain that a little bit more, because it did feel like, you even saying it on social media and a few other fans were, that did feel like genuinely watching a sort of Norwich performance, wasn't it? Because it was so negative and it was just dull, really. There's no other words I can think of to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, an elite striker who can score goals, a midfield metronome who is much better than everyone else, but a shaky defence and a questionable goalkeeper. Which team am I talking about? It just, the amount of times last season that we would take the lead and seemingly just sort of coast and seemingly just sort of not be that interested. I'm going to play devil's advocate here and do the exact opposite of me, which is to be positive rather than to be negative. We are unbeaten. We are on 4 points and on course to get through to the next stage. We didn't beat Denmark in the Euros last time when we got through to the final, and they are a very good international tournament team. But we played dreadfully, and it's a very bad precedent, and it's a very bad style of play to then be continuing on into the next stages of the tournament. It's all very well sort of playing badly against Denmark, but then what if, the Spains and the Belgiums and the Frances and the Germanys come knocking, then we're going to be caught with our trousers down, I think. It's defensive, it's passive. I can't think of too many chances in the match. Yes, we conceded an absolute thunderbolt, but was the point to go 1-up and then park the bus for 70 minutes? Because that's not, it's not good.
No, it really isn't. But the thing is, it did seem like that was the plan. It seemed like that a little bit to me against Serbia, that there was a clear change in ideas when there was a goal scored. You could tell that even when they looked at the average positions of after the goal and before the goal, it was very, very clear that was the idea, because I think our furthest player forward was one of the fullbacks. And that's just crazy. That's absolutely ridiculous. Everyone's average position was on the edge of their own box. That's embarrassing. You go a goal up. The thing you should be looking to do, especially with the quality that we possess, is allow them to just be fluid, let them be themselves and create chances, because they're going to be able to do it. But you're limiting so much talent and raw ability by making them sit back. This seems to have been the story for England for years. This seems like it's when Sven-Göran Eriksson was trying to fit Lampard, Scholes, Gerrard all in the same team, of course, because he knew they had the ability, but because of the tactics deployed and having one of them had to play out wide, you're limiting them. That's the issue. And it seems as if that has become the thing with Southgate, at least within this tournament. All these quality players, and who are by far and wide some of the best players in the world in their positions, they're being limited massively. And there's been risks that are being taken. You're playing a fullback in midfield who has never played there in his career, and you're effectively only playing him there because of his passing ability. That is the main reason, at least to me, why Trent Alexander-Arnold is in there. Of course, he's a fantastic passer of the ball. He's great on the ball. But in a game like we've seen in the first two, he's going to get bullied by midfielders stronger than him, because he's not used to that. He doesn't have to battle hard in the middle of the park. He just has to prevent a winger from beating him and getting crosses into the area, and he has to bomb forward and put crosses into the box himself. It's ludicrous to me that this is what is happening with the team. But I could be completely overreacting, of course. We are still top of the group. We are unbeaten, but it's just not very fun to watch. That's the problem. You can come back to this when Norwich are 15th halfway through the season, but Thorup's playing the best football in the league or something like that. But Henry and Will, what do you think? Because it seems very bleak, and it doesn't seem like this team, if they play just simply one that are playing well at the tournament, like Spain or Belgium, they're not going to be able to beat them, because they're going to get out tactics and just outclassed, despite arguably having better quality than their opposition.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest here. Not necessarily you boys. I think the point you've made is fair. But I think surrounding the England game, this is the biggest overreaction I have ever seen, like ever. Right? The fact of the matter is, you look at this England team, Euro 2020, we reached the final. Exactly the same thing happened. We beat Croatia in our opening game and then had a drab 0-0 with Scotland, right? Fucking Scotland we drew 0-0 with. And we went on to reach the final. So Gareth Southgate learned from his lessons when he faced a big team in Germany. Right? I know they're not in the top 10 of the FIFA rankings, but when he faced a big team in Germany, he beat them, which is unheard of for England. So Gareth Southgate's always learnt his lesson. The point about him playing players in a different position, you look at someone like Trent, I think his vision is second to none and his passing ability is really good. I think anyone would have taken that gamble. It hasn't worked. And to be honest, I don't think Trent will start against Slovenia. But I think Gareth was right to do that. Also, Harry Kane had a really quiet game, but scores goals. That is what Harry Kane does. If you've ever seen any Harry Kane performance, he's quiet for 89 minutes and then scores you the winner. That is what makes Kane so effective, right? So that is ridiculous. Rice, very reliable centre mid, had a shocking game against Denmark. That's not Gareth Southgate's fault, right? That was Declan Rice having a bad game. So all of this criticism directed to Southgate is ridiculous. It just shows you how much of a poison chalice the England job is. Because if someone has a bad game, it's Southgate's fault. Or it's the formation, which is Southgate's fault. Everything is Southgate's fault. And actually, if you look at it, he's the second most successful England manager in history, right? He's the only manager other than Alf Ramsey who's got us to a major final, and fans are still not content with it. I don't understand it. And as well, about the play style, I'd argue international management is entirely different to club management. If that was Norwich, you look under David Wagner, that's the perfect example. Everyone said that he needed to, that we needed to go in a different direction because our play style was poor. He works with these players 9-10 months a year, right? So formation and play style matters. It's the core of the team. For international football, you've got 4 weeks. Doesn't matter how you play at international tournaments. All that matters are the results, right? And I think England have done well to be unbeaten and on course to top the group. You look at France. They've not scored a single goal. Yes, they beat Austria 1-0. It was an own goal. So we've played better than the favourites in France, what most people would say. And upon predicting the tournament at the start, I reckon most people would have gone, yeah, we beat Serbia, we beat Slovenia. I reckon we'll come unstuck against Denmark and draw. And so far, yes, we haven't played Slovenia yet. That is exactly what has happened. So normally, I know you might not believe this. I normally am glass half empty, but I think Southgate, the job he's done with this England team, transforming it from the Hodgson days and the Capello days, is absolutely amazing. So,
wow, no, that was like a Kevin Keegan rally cry.
I loved it.
That was
so in short, it's coming home. So back the boys, and we're gonna fucking win it in Germany.
Oh, well, of course, apologies for any bad language there. I probably ought to do that after the first 2 episodes from now. But no, that was, goodness me, mate. God, that was absolutely brilliant. God, that was like a Chris Reeve rally cry. That was absolutely, that was just brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant.
Just need the nonsense around England to stop.
I don't think I can
Come
top
on,
that.
Will, what have you got to say?
Yeah, so on that, yeah, for me, I think that was brilliant. Yeah, I think for me, I have kind of 2 main problems with it. I think one is our press. I think it's so like disjointed, and teams find it so easy to kind of play against us. And although I'm not too anti-Southgate, I think he's actually done really well for us as a country, really. But I think people are getting a bit worried when we play like the better sides, if you will. And obviously, Spain are a great example where they kind of look really good at the minute. In possession and out of possession, I think they look really, really good. And England just looks so disjointed off the ball. And I think that what's happening is they're kind of like using their experience and just wanting to like retract so deep, and it's actually causing us more harm than actual good. And I think for me, we just don't really seem to have an out ball either. For me, I'm a big fan of Anthony Gordon, and I think he should be kind of deployed as our out ball to kind of like get us up the pitch. I think Kane offers you great hold up play, and that is superb. But I think Gordon gives you that like raw pace, and I think at times we've just been a bit too slow in possession, and especially in possession as well. I just don't think Declan Rice has the same effect of just sitting in a deep role and playing the quarterback role. I think he's a bit more for the forward as a midfielder. He wants to like run with the ball, and I'm looking at the likes of Portugal. They've got Vitinha, Spain have got Rodri. Those 2 are really good quarterbacks, and what they can do is they can give you control on the ball. And I think England, obviously, I think they have that in Wharton, particularly, and also Manu to some extent. But I just don't think he trusts them yet, which is quite sad, really. But also, it's quite weird because actually at the start, I was all in favour of having Trent in midfield. So it's really bizarre to me kind of how it's all kind of progressed, really. But I think if I'm England now, I would actually look to try and introduce Water into midfield, because I think one thing which is just lacking is just actual like controlling the ball. It isn't necessarily like trying to score a goal. It's just trying to like build up for the back and just show a bit more coherence and just settle the team down in possession. And I don't know how Southgate's going to approach it. Maybe it might change its shape, but I just think it's a bit more simple. I just added 2 personnel kind of players in, but I think it's so hard as well for Southgate, because if he drops a phone, if he drops Trent, he's going to get so much backlash. And I think Gareth is brave with that, but I would definitely look to try and include players now that can enhance up a chance of winning. And I think Wharton, having that passing range into midfield, always looking to play forward, I think he'd be superb at doing that. And I just think he needs trust. And it's obviously no coincidence that I'm backing the young players to kind of be given a go here. But yeah, I'm so in favour of that. But I just want to kind of hear your guys' thoughts on the kind of like midfield dynamic, because like before the tournament, I was so happy to go into it with a Trent, Rice, and a Bellingham kind of midfield three. And there's been quite a lot of talk about having Foden and Bellingham in like and Rice in like a same midfield three. But my kind of thing with that is that the balance will be a bit too reliant on the attacking kind of wave of stuff, and I want to have like a bit more kind of like a bit more kind of solidity in the defensive areas. So yeah, obviously, we just want to hear your guys' thoughts on the kind of like personal in midfield, like moving forward.
Yeah. So what I think, like I said, he was probably right to go with Bellingham for the first 2 games. Not Bellingham, sorry, Alexander-Arnold. I don't think the Trent experiment has worked. So what I'll do, I still think Trent will be a key player, whether that is in midfield or at right back, but I think it will probably be off the bench. What I'd do like what you said, either play Mainu there or Wharton next to Declan Rice, or just move Bellingham back a bit, have him play almost as a 6 whilst Rice is at an 8, basically, and then move Foden into the 10. And then, like you said, I really like Anthony Gordon. The energy Anthony Gordon brings to this team, that would then free up that spot on the left for him to play. Because to be honest, I think Bukayo Saka is undroppable. I think he's such a good player. And even when England haven't been performing well, he's been one of the players you look at and gone, yeah, he can't really take much of the blame here. So I think players like Saka, Bellingham, Kane, and probably Pickford are all the undroppable players. So
it's all very, very fair. No, and then, well, I don't know what Jack, you may think about that as well, in terms of what you think should be done with the team. Will's big question there was about the midfield dynamic. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, he does like to bring Gallagher on about 55 minutes, so maybe give him a shot. Obviously, Southgate said that he's never found a natural replacement for Calvin Phillips. I mean, Norwich are the same. We've never found a natural replacement to Alex Tettey. It's true. It's true. In midfield, I mean, I would have called up Liam Gibbs. I would have got David Fox out of retirement. And then got Stephen Whittaker to change nationality and play in defensive midfield. I think that's, it's coming home.
Yeah. Oh, dearie me. Well, anyway, you spoke about a Scotsman there in Stephen Whittaker. Of course, we will talk about Scotland because they're the only side with Norwich players in their team, which maybe says a lot about quality of Scotland. But we'll leave that out for now, and we'll leave all the jokes until they inevitably are knocked out by Hungary. And yes, you can come back to this when they probably beat them and end up getting out of the group stage, and I will look a muppet. But that's all fun. That's all fun and games. But of course, their last game they played against Switzerland, they were much improved, weren't they? They did look better, especially Angus Gunn made a superb save to keep them in the game. Grant Hanley almost scored. We saw a signature Hanley flop as well, which is always a beautiful thing to see. And then
the dives as well.
Kenny McLean got a bit of a run out in the final 10 minutes coming on for Billy Gilmore. I wonder where I've seen that before. That seems a little bit familiar to me. But what do you guys think about Scotland? Do they look improved to you? Do they look like they could do what seemed to be the impossible after they were battered by Germany in the first game? Or do you think they're destined for a tournament of mediocrity and they're going to be packing their bags after tonight's game?
I think with Scotland, it just shows what I was saying about international football. It's a completely different kettle of fish to club football. You look at Scotland's first performance against Germany, it was an absolute horror show. They were horrendous. The fact that they came back with such a mature performance against Switzerland, I know they didn't win the game, but the fact that they got that draw and were probably the better side, if they beat Hungary, they're through. You know, and they know that, and that shows how quickly things can change in big tournaments. After that first Germany game, everyone would have thought you were delusional if you said Scotland would get through. But now they've got a genuine fighting chance. So I think, yeah, they probably are. It's going to be a really cagey game against Hungary, but I think they've definitely got it within their nature to go through. But they also have it in their nature to crash and burn. So,
yeah, I think for me with Scotland, I think the biggest talking point for them is actual like technical quality and composure. Like I think in the first game, Bidders couldn't really get the ball at all. But in the second game, I actually think Gilmore actually did quite well for them, and he kind of brought that composure in deep areas. And I thought McGinn, McTominay, and Adams worked really well as a unit, in and out of possession. I don't know whether they have enough tonight. I think Hungary, I think, have looked good in stages across the Euros. I don't think good enough across a whole 90 minutes, but I think they're solid, and I think it's going to be a very good game. Yeah, I think Angus Gunn was superb. I think that just shows a testament of his character as well. I think he had quite a poor game against Germany. I think he could have probably saved maybe one or two shots there, but I think the game against Switzerland, I thought he showed his quality very well there. And yeah, I mean, I'm not really the kind of a hater of Scotland. I'm not like a big England fan. Well, obviously I support England, but not to the extent to hate Scotland so much as I hate Ipswich. So I don't mind if they go through. I mean, if they do go through, they're probably going to get knocked out by Spain anyway in about a week's time. So no harm done, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at that Scotland squad. I'm thinking, Scott McKenna's a free agent. Jay Adams is a free agent. We won't sign them. We're not good enough for them. But Hungary haven't got a point so far. They're pointless. Scotland have at least 1 point. That's, incentive for them. Whether they actually have enough firepower to, combat Hungary or not. Obviously, Tierney is injured, and he was pretty crucial to them. It's very much up in the air. I think it could really go either way. Again, if like Will said, if they do go through, they're probably going to crash and burn at the next stage. But football could be coming home to Scotland. Sorry, lads, it's not. No, I can't say that. It's not. It ain't going to Scotland. Nay.
Nah, no. Well, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Football is a very unpredictable game. Anything can happen in football, but it does seem as if, well, we're all thinking that it's not going to happen for Scotland. But who knows? Who knows what could happen? It's an interesting thing, isn't it? But anyway, that's enough about that. And anyway, we'll go back to Norwich now. Before we were all talking, I mentioned earlier that Jack does a write-up of what we talk about. We don't just spout nonsense. Well, we do a little bit, but we do it in a coordinated way. We don't do it where we just ramble on and on and on just when we have no idea of what we're going to talk about in our heads. But Jack's big thing to us, we know he loves a quick fire question. We'll get onto them in a second, but he gave us a big question, but it sounds as if he wanted a longer answer. So he asked us, I'll come to you first on it, but the biggest what if moment for Norwich City. So effectively a moment where just in a completely alternate universe where Norwich are a mid-table safe Premier League team every single year. What is the moment that you thought, just if that was different, something else could have happened and we could have been better off? Well, realistically, with a what if moment, yeah, Norwich would end up better off than what they are now. So what is, of course, I'll ask Orly and I'll give an answer as well, but what is it for you that you thought, just what if that never happened?
Yeah, I've got quite a precise one, and I've actually already told, I think, you guys already, but it was when Tim Closer got injured at Selhurst Park, in that Premier League season. I think it was 15-16, and he came in January, I think, from Wolfsburg, and he was an absolute Rolls Royce at the back, alongside Andre Wisdom. God, what a pair they were as a defensive unit. Closer was so good, I felt, during that kind of period up to his injury. And he went down, I think, first half away at Palace. And I think if we would have won that game, I think we would have been about 7 points clear, and we would have sent Villa down in the process. But I think we lost to a Jason punch and goal. And then I think we played, when maybe like Sunderland, I think maybe a week or two later. And that's when the wheels just started to fall off. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know the points tally off by a heart, but yeah, I think if Closer would have stayed fit, and I think we would have all been celebrating. They made the job that Alex Neil did over a longer process. Really, obviously we had Wembley, but if he managed to kind of keep us up in his first year, wow, I think you can ask any more as a Norwich manager, but unfortunately it didn't go to plan.
All right. Well. Henry, what about yourself?
Yeah, so first of all, what Will was saying, I want to throw a question out to all three of you. What was more iconic, Alex Neil's mole or Andre Wisdom's bald patch?
Bald patch.
So maybe that's something to linger. But in terms of what I think the biggest butterfly effect is for Norwich, I'm actually going to go back to the days of Chris Hughton's tenure at Norwich. And we're at Carrow Road. We're playing Paul Lambert's Aston Villa. Norwich win a penalty. And the big bad wolf, Van Wolfswinkel, gets the ball under his arm, takes it. Snodgrass robs the ball off him, takes the penalty. We miss. And then Libor Kozak, of all people, gets the winner for Aston Villa. Had Van Wolfswinkel have taken that penalty and got himself another Premier League goal, I think he could have then started to really kick on in the Prem and score goals to hopefully have kept Norwich up that season. But yeah, it wasn't to be. And young Henry was absolutely fuming when Snodgrass robbed it off him.
I'm not going to lie, that one was in my back pocket, that moment as well. So I'm completely in agreement with you. I'm going to go even further back. I'm going to go for a real controversial one. If the Heysel disaster hadn't happened, right? Bear with me on this one. It's very controversial indeed. But again, for 4 years, English teams were barred from playing European football. And I think in 1980, before I was born, 86 or 7, we finished 3rd or 4th in the top flight and would have played European football before Bayern Munich, before all of that history. And think what could have happened if we would have had a European run. Think of, the extra cash that the club would have got. Think of the extra brand awareness of the club. Think about how, Carrow Road could be a 40,000 seat stadium and we might have a trophy. Who knows? But yeah, if I were to go for a second one, a little bit more recent, I would say Zolis scoring his penalty in the League Cup against Liverpool. Having confidence, Daniel Farker not degrading him and making him feel 2 inches tall. Actually allowing an £11 million signing to play like an £11 million signing. We probably wouldn't have stayed up, but it would have been interesting to see if he'd have actually scored that penalty.
That's annoying because that's the one I was going to say. But I did have one of a backup from actually that very same season. It's going to be a very odd one, but I just remember it was when we played. We were playing Crystal Palace at home, and of course we drew that game 1-1. That was after we beat Everton and Watford in back-to-back games, and that was the next one. And when we were 1-0 up, of course Pookie scored in half a minute. But I remember about 2 or 3 minutes later, it was Rashika had a gilt-edged chance to put us 2-0 up early on, and he missed. And my big thing of that was, what if Rashika scored, we're 2-0 up in 5 minutes, we go on to win that game, because we were already out of the relegation zone after beating Watford the game before. So what I'm effectively saying is, if Milot Rashika performed like an £11 million signing and he put that chance away, could Dean Smith have done what looked impossible and kept Norwich City up? And who knows what would have happened after that? Dean Smith probably would have had a statue erected outside Carrow Road for that, and we could have ended up, who knows where we could have ended up. But it's a very weird one that maybe not many people look back on, but I just think Milot Rashika, if he just put that away, could Norwich have stayed up that season? But who knows? We probably would have gone on to get battered every other week after that anyway. But that's just for me a moment I think back on, and who knows, that could have been the one. But yeah,
it's fine margins though, isn't it? And it's, for me, when we stayed up under Houghton in the first season, we basically stayed up because of that 10 or 11 game unbeaten run where we didn't actually win that many, but we just drew lots. The second half of the season was obviously abject, but winning games in a row, getting points in a row, having form in a row. If you're good for one stretch of the season, then that's good enough to keep you up at the expense of 3 other less good teams. But no, I agree. Yeah, it was abject that season in the end. Abject.
Yeah.
So did we all settle on Andre Wisdom's bald patch? His bald patch then, or Alex Neil's mole?
For me, it's the mole
patch.
I'm going Wisdom's bald patch.
Oh, come on, boys. It's Alex Neil's mole.
I think Alex Neil's mole, to be fair, is more iconic. Although it was funny to see the bald patch, all Wisdom had to do was shave his hair, and then, that would have gone. Whereas with Alex Neil, that mole's there constantly and is as iconic as his tenure as Norwich manager.
No, bloody Alex Neil. And then I'm trying to think where he is now. I don't know if he's got a job still after Stoke got rid of him.
I don't.
Yeah, I know.
Think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I know he was in talks with Birmingham, but I think they went for the Spurs assistant, didn't they? So yeah, I haven't really heard of him, but we'll say that, and he'll probably be Watford manager in about 2 months' time. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for that one.
Yeah, no, certainly. No, it always seems inevitable. But just actually touching on Stoke City, a recent thing I've seen in terms of a transfer interest with Norwich is Danny Bart, of course, a player who was released after a 1-year contract. Stoke are looking at bringing him back. And I said this just before we started. Stoke could have 3 of their back 4 be Norwich players from the season just gone. They've already signed Ben Gibson. Danny Bart is a player they're looking at. Sam McCallum has been a player they've been of high interest of over the last few weeks. But how on earth is what baffles me to think. You've got 2 players who are pretty much playing week in, week out in that second half of the season for a team that got up to finish in 6th. They're now at Stoke. What does that say about us? I
reckon Aladdin hangs out in the boardroom at Stoke City. He's just there with his magic lamp, convincing all these people to join. He did it with Choupo-Moting. He did it with Shaqiri when they were in the Premier League, and now he's doing it with players like Ben Gibson, who are coming from top-end Championship clubs. For some reason, there's a massive draw around Stoke, which I've never understood. Ever since they've come down, they've not finished in the top half of the table. And to be honest, I don't think they will this season either. So, not sure why Stoke are such a attractive proposition. But yeah, for some reason, everyone seems to go there, and they almost certainly never have the right answers.
I mean, all I'm saying is when we play Stoke, maybe this doesn't really include McCallum. I'm definitely getting a quick striker, and I'm telling you, just running behind them because they won't be able to catch up and they'll do their hamstrings. So that's my game plan against Stoke already. I'm sure I'll get a call by Hoffer up to kind of talk about the finances involved for me winning that game. But no, I'm only joking. I think Stoke have also got some quite good financial power, I think, as well. I mean, they gave Gibson quite a good contract. I think it was 2 years with an option. Maybe you can correct me with that. But what do you kind of also think about the Adam Idah stuff? Obviously, there was quite a big thing, wasn't there, in the press conference about Hoffer up kind of liking his profile. But for me, I just think with Idah, if his heart isn't with Norwich anymore, then I don't think we should really look. I don't think we should try and continue with him because I just don't think it's worth having players at the club that I don't want to be here. And if we can get a fee for me in the region between probably £8 to £10 million, maybe that's been a bit ambitious. I would look to cash in, but I don't know what you guys would think about that.
I think with Idah, it's a win-win. I don't think he'll be a squad player. I think you could even argue that this season just gone, he wasn't really a squad player in the first half of the season. He was playing basically every game, whether it was starting or off the bench. So I think it will be much of the same next season, to be honest, or we'll sell him. So I think for Norwich, it's a win-win. We'll either get the extra goals that Idah can contribute and fully utilise him as he should be, or we'll sell him and get money for him that we can reinvest in the squad.
Yeah, I mean, I touched on it on the video with Freddie. I think his heart's with Celtic. I think, and they are a rich club with lots of money, so we can definitely haggle with them. He wants to stay. They want him. You know, it's up to them to negotiate with us. And I think £8 to £10 million, given the hype season that he's had, obviously we touched on it previously, like scored a winner in the cup final, his stock is very high. We've got to sell him now until he plays in pre-season against Northampton and misses a sitter. Then he'll go down to £4 to £6 million. We've got to sell him now.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Of course, Jack touched on it. I spoke with him about it in the last video about the Thor press conference. But the more, obviously, I've had a day or two to sort of properly think about it. But I do think I agree with what you're all saying, really. I think if the fee is right, we should be cashing in because this is a player who, I can't lie, if he has another season with Norwich, will he really be playing that many games? Well, of course, it helped that Josh Sargent got a big injury last season in the Huddersfield game. Because realistically, if Sargent is fully fit and Thorup is going to play one striker, Adam Idah is not going to be in the team. That is simply just is case in point. He's not going to play over Josh Sargent, unless Sargent is sold or whatever. But I do think with Idah, he evidently loves Celtic. He really enjoyed his time there, and the statistics back him up on that. It was a very good time for him, and he needs that sort of move in his career. He needs to have a good season because he's not really yet had a full one where he set the world alight, and that could well be it. And of course, if they'll be playing European football, and as I said in that video, that is a fantastic opportunity for him to really, if he's going to want to kick on in his career and do it now, he couldn't ask for harder matches, really, where he needs to do that. He's used to coming off the bench against the likes of Preston and Bristol City. This is really his time to kick on, prove that he is better than what many may think. Of course, he did mention in an interview after his last game that he was sort of used as a scapegoat at Norwich City, and it's very hard to disagree with that. I can't sit back and say I've not criticised Adam Idah at one point. I've thought for years before sort of this season where it looked like he might just crack on that he should be loaned out. I didn't see a future for him at this football club, but to still have that opportunity to sell for a decent amount of money for a player who really hasn't done too much with opportunities presented to him, it's a no-brainer. I think that needs to be done. And of course, Ben Napper alluded to it. In order to raise finances, this club has to sell. It's inevitable. That is something of which has been the business model of this football club, and that is going to continue. And even if it is 6 to 8 million, or it's a little bit more, that is instantly funds you can look to reinvest. That's what we're all about. And arguably, with no parachute payments, we need as much money as we can get. So it does seem like that is the time to cash in. But of course, that's my thought. That's all your thoughts. Of course, that can be the big question of the week, along with a what if moment. Let us know what you think as well. Well, we already sort of asked this in the last episode, but get us your what if moments, get us your thoughts on Adam Idah. Let us all know and everything like that. Or even if you want to come on our website, write a little guest article, if you will. Of course, we'll leave a link, all the links in the description of the YouTube video and when this goes up on Spotify as well. But now it's time for some good fun. You've seen this already in the first 2 weeks. Jack, it's time to take centre stage, my friend. Quick fire questions. You already know the drill with this. He's going to go around and ask us all some nonsense stuff, and we're all going to get clipped up on his Twitter account in a couple of weeks for what we say. So, Jack, take it away. What you got for us this time?
Yeah, I've got 10 quickfire questions this time. Before I start, Will, I must applaud your wall for being ever so slightly embellished. It's a good wall.
Thank you.
Henry, the less said, the better.
I was shocking, but I did decide to wear a Norwich shirt instead. So hopefully that's bonus points. It doesn't take away from the shit background, but...
Maybe we can get you a green screen. Maybe we can, pretend you're on Great Yarmouth Beach or something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's for the next episode. Right. Last time you all waffled with some of your answers and gave me very long explanations, which was lovely, but is also the very opposite of what we're trying to do. So, 10 quickfire questions. We'll start. Freddie, Henry, Will do it alphabetically. Goal music or no music?
Goal music.
Goal music.
Goal music.
We do like samba. Who is the one transfer link you wish had actually gone through?
Kalidou Koulibaly.
Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, Van Dijk as well.
Worst visiting fan atmosphere at Carrow Road?
Rotherham.
Millwall.
Rotherham, man.
Oh, bless them. Veg patch or soccer bot?
Soccer bot.
It has to be soccer bot, doesn't it?
Nah, veg patch. Those 2 months, man, were brilliant.
Most underrated Norwich manager?
Oh. Alan Irvine.
You can say interims as well.
I was going to go for your friend and mine, Alan Irvine.
Let's go for an Irvine full house. Come on.
Yeah.
Alan, we miss you.
Yes.
Love you, Alan. Best player you've seen in the flesh at Carrow Road?
Emi Buendia.
Based on this season, Somerville. He was amazing.
If you're going to present players, I'd probably go for someone like Declan Rice. He was outstanding. But for Norwich, I will probably go for Maddison.
Best pub in Norwich?
Oh, what a question. Oh, wow. Queen of Iceni.
Absolutely stinking opinion, that, Freddie. That is awful.
The next YouTube short.
I'm going to go, although it's small, Pig and Whistle.
Oh, yeah, that's a good shout.
I like the complete Anglia.
Would you rather go unbeaten against Ipswich for the next 20 years with no silverware, or break the streak and win a trophy along the way?
Oh. Well, yeah, break the streak and win a trophy, yeah.
No brainer, win a trophy.
Yeah, full house.
Okay. And finally, final question: who's the most overrated City legend?
Oh, that's not fair. Oh,
Don't care. Don't care. You said
oh,
my questions weren't spicy enough last week, so I'm adding the spice.
oh God! Whatever I say is going to be controversial. Oh, God. I can't answer. I don't think I can answer this.
I don't accept that as an answer.
Oh, fine. I apologise to anyone listening or watching. I'm going to annoy you all. Wesley Hoolahan. Oh.
That is even worse than the Queen
My
of Ice.
senile shout, yeah.
I'll explain myself in a second.
I'm defining legend loosely. I'm just going on good players, but I've got two. They're Pritchard and Steve Morrison. Never rated either.
Legend, but okay, all right.
Does Sebastian Bassong count because he wanted Barry Butler? So I'm going to go Bassong if so.
That is a good get out of jail free card. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Seb. I know it really wasn't a huge admirer, but got to respect what you've done for us over the 2 seasons, or a few more than that, wasn't it?
Famous 1-2
Man.
in the same season.
So now I've got to explain why Wesley Hoolahan's overrated.
The floor is yours, Freddie.
No, thing is, for me, the thing that annoyed me a lot with him, he was far too one-footed. He limited himself with that. I think he just, of course, that's the thing. I can't say he wasn't a legend because he was. This is the thing. I can't really. That's the thing. That question is horrible, man. Because regardless of who you say, you're going to get pelters for it. But it just, for me, he was way too one-footed, which limited what was an already very good player. There were elements of his game where he could have been a lot better. And one thing actually that really annoyed me, that knocked his status down. Remember when we played Aston Villa away and he scored and he put his hands up to show respect because there was links of him going to join them. Now, for me, no, you don't do that because you're not playing for the club yet, Wesley. So no, give it the full beans. Give it one of these if you really want. Give it anything you want. No, you can't. You're a Norwich legend. You're not meant to score against a different club and just go, I'm really sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I scored. Sorry. No, but of course, there's no denying that he was a legend, and I'm gonna have people come for my head. But it was either that or I say someone else like Grant Holt or Pookie or something like that, and that probably would have been worse. Maybe the same, but anyway, yeah. So I can't
want to hear Jax
defend you a bit as well. He must have just had earphones on and listening to "I'm Spinning Around" by Kylie Minogue for most of the games. Because the amount of turns he'd do, especially in the later championship seasons under like Irvine and Daniel Farker, he'd literally just get on the pitch and just do turn after turn after turn. And it's like, okay, Wes, you can stop now.
See, my answer.
But he's still a legend, and I wouldn't class him as overrated. I still love the man to pieces.
No.
Guys, we can't let Jack get away with it, by the way. Jack, I want to hear yours, mate.
Russell Martin.
Okay.
Oh God, he's spot on, isn't he?
Great servant, clearly great manager, but just was quite average. Sorry, Russ. Yeah.
Well, it was like what we said. I believe it was last week. Well, Grant Hanley was brought in because Russell Martin was poor. And that's ultimately it. But yeah, so there you go. Well, there's all your nonsense content and even some smart stuff as well, as we try to do on a weekly basis. Of course, there's a lot going to be happening in the next week. Some more Euros games, maybe some signings, maybe some outgoings. or who knows? But anyway, we'll of course be looking to keep you as updated as we can here on the MyFootballWriter YouTube channel. We hope you've enjoyed the third episode of the new MyFootballWriter podcast. Of course, we'll be with you this time next week to bring you even more nonsense, maybe some smart stuff, maybe even say some random answers to some random questions, but it's all good fun, isn't it? That's how it always is. So anyway, I've been Freddie Humphrey Wakefield. They have been Will Grant, Henry Miller, and Jack Wright, who I have to say, I've got to allude again to his attire. He's got the Hawaiian shirt on, the bucket hat is back. Honestly, as I said in the last video, he's very excited for his day out in Stevenage. So let's all look forward to it. Anyway, as I say, I've been Freddie Humphrey Wakefield. They have been absolutely brilliant. Will, Henry, and Jack. And we'll be seeing you this time next week for the next episode. It's goodbye for now, and we'll see you in the next video of ours here on MyFootballWriter.